I don't know who of you are following what's happening globally. So there are so many things that I think is going to set the tone this year. It's going to be a crazy year as far as business is concerned. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see what's happening in the markets, how business responds, and I always thought South Africa was fairly immune to global events because we kind of like away from where all the action is in the north. But seems I may have been wrong. So what we have this year is we have a lot of global political tension. I think that's going to have an impact on business, and then the thing that I think is going to have the most impact on business for this year is probably going to be AI. Um, Artificial intelligence. I always thought that the electrical sector and the plumbing sector would be in the same way that I thought South Africa was immune to global politics. I thought that because as electricians we work with our hands, we should be fairly immune to whatever it is AI does, because who's gonna take my screwdriver and start doing the work that I'm doing every day, or who's going to start going from house to house and checking DB boards and that kind of thing. You're not going to see a robot in Africa, or at least in South Africa, in the domestic or the residential type of environment anytime soon. But having said that, if you start to look at the growth of and the development of artificial intelligence, I think we're going to see a lot of white collar workers that are being pushed out of their jobs because of the impact that AI is having on their market and their environmental condition, environment, and where are those guys going to go? They are going to be buying themselves a toolbox. So we are probably going to see an influx of guys coming into areas where they would have never thought that they would have been working, but the guys are going to be forced into the DIY sector. We're going to see an influx of builders, guys building swimming pools, fixing pools, guys doing DIY stuff around the house. So if you guys thought that we've had issues up to now with rogue electricians, I don't think we've seen the start of it, but it's going to become hectic. So how do we plan for something like that? How do we organize ourselves as electricians? The only way that you can really do that is to increase your network. Google ads aren't the thing anymore, because unless you're searching a specific word, your first response to the prompt that you put in on the Google page is an artificial intelligence prompt. So we end up not necessarily looking at the first Google ad. We might do an AI search for who the best electrician is in town, and then we start looking at those responses. So your first port of call for 2026 would be to figure out, how do you make your website attractive for, and this is a weird term to use but the internet is full of stuff they call robots and crawlers, and it's essentially a machine digging through information, and it has to look for the information on your website. So if your website has a good search engine optimization score or an SEO score, it just means that it'll rank high in search results. But how those search results are being displayed is being affected by how AI reads your website and how those crawlers respond. So it's an interesting environment and an interesting world we live in, guys. So it is 9:02. Welcome, everybody. Up to now, we've been killing the time with the amazing outlook for 2026. I hope you guys are psyched for this year. I think it's going to be a busy year. Last year was extremely quiet. I think this year is going to be busy for some strange reason or the other. Okay, guys, officially starting this meeting. The purpose of this meeting was to have a look at the online eCOC platform. I have prepared a couple of slides. I wasn't going to do slides, but then based on the questions, and the responses, why am I not seeing my... There we go. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I think that's the right slide. Okay. Just waiting for my laptop to get with the program. Okay, so online CoCs, is this platform even legal? This is where the conversation has to start. Based on a couple of conversations that I've had with some of you, the slide we are starting off with is really just to kind of cover where we are at the moment with regards to regulation and just to kind of debunk a couple of myths. So the Department of Labor does not issue certificate of compliance or test report numbers. So the test reports that you guys have been buying, the DOL does not issue those numbers. Those numbers are numbers that are generated by the organizations that are producing those test reports. The regulation requires that the CoC or the certificate of compliance needs to have a number that follows in a sequential order. And that's it. So there are two requirements with regards to certificates of compliance and test reports. One is it needs to follow. So it doesn't need to look like the one generated by the chief inspector or published in the government gazette. So it doesn't have to look like that, but we see lawyers, insurance companies, banks are used to the format, so they want to see that format. You are welcome to create your own, but it has to comply with the minimum criteria set by the chief inspector. And the minimum criteria would be the criteria that, or the number of fields that are currently in the test report and in the CoC. So you can issue your own CoCs. It doesn't have to be something that you bought from someone else. Now, the meeting we're having today is an AREP meeting, and AREP has the ability to print CoCs. The only difference between different organizations is the logo that is at the top of the CoC. You might have an organization like, I don't know, an attorney or a lawyer or someone doing the transfer of properties, and they are used to seeing certain logos at the top of their CoCs. So maybe they have a certain value for seeing something specific up there. But from a regulatory point of view, it doesn't matter. You can have your own. So you can have your own logo on top of a CoC that you generated yourself. There are no limitations apart from the fact that the number has to be sequential and it has to comply with a minimum information as described by the chief inspector. So what I've got on the left-hand side is I've got a section that has been taken out of the explanatory notes. So on the right-hand side, I've got the actual document. You can go and look it up, or you can send me a WhatsApp and I can drop it in your WhatsApp. On the left-hand side is an extract from the document on the right-hand side. So is this platform even legal? Absolutely. You are welcome to use AREP's online CoCs and test reports. You can generate your own, or you can buy some printed ones from Anne. So there are various ways in which this can be done. Now, what's next? The challenges with the existing test reports is that they were last updated in 2009. And at that time, the only source you had was either the municipality or generator. There weren't really any other sources. So at the moment, we see a lot of, well, I see a lot of challenges with test reports and with how they've been put together. Even the hybrid test report that some of you guys are using that has been created by AREP and a couple of industry players has serious limitations to it, especially if you look at something like a variable speed drive. Guys are now using a variable speed drive as an inverter. So you've got the solar going directly through a variable speed drive to something like a borehole pump. That changes how your system operates, because at night there's no power. During the day, as soon as there's enough sunlight, there's power and your pump starts working. It challenges the available fields in the test report as we know it, because you can't have a variable speed drive as a source and use the existing test report. It doesn't fit in there. So there are a couple of challenges. Then another thing that I consider to be a challenge is there's one test report per printed CoC. So if you're at a site that has 5 DB boards, every time you use a test report, you kind of invariably use a CoC because it's on the back side of that document. But you can have multiple test reports per site and then just one CoC for those test reports. So you don't have to have a test report and a CoC. So working on the printed version has its limitations. Then not flexible to account for rapid change in technologies. Guys, if we look at stuff like SIG Energy, Tesla, Enphase, you have an inverter that sits on top of a battery pack. You have no access to the cables between the inverter and the battery stack. so you can't test it. So the hybrid test report doesn't really fit in with something like a SIG energy inverter, or with something we call an AC battery. InPhase has something called an AC battery, which is actually just the inverter is built into the battery pack. So the box you get has the batteries and the inverter in one box. You can't separate them from one another. It's called an AC battery. The test report doesn't make provision for that. Also, microinverters. Test report does not make provision for microinverters. So when you work on an electronic platform, it kind of makes it more flexible, but it tends to make it extremely complex because you have all these variables. So it takes quite a bit of doing in getting it to work properly. So guys, in our online test report, in the online eCOC, we have different layers or levels of authority. So we have a service provider. The service provider can allocate CoCs and test report to the contractor company, and then the contractor can issue it to the registered person, or you can have AREP issuing CoCs and test report directly to registered persons. If you have, so the platform is or has been generated or created as a white label platform. So this is a first for industry. Up to now, there aren't other platforms. There are other electronic CoC platforms available, but none of them are white label platforms. So you can't use your own logo. This platform has been created as a white label platform, so you should be able to create your own logo. At the moment, that function has not been activated. The function is there, the ability is there. We will probably work through the various phases in fault finding and debugging the code, and then as soon as the platform works the way it's supposed to, we will activate to implement that feature. So you guys, we started testing the platform in November already. I was very excited in getting it started. I wanted to have it published or launched with Black Friday. That obviously never happened. The first guy that registered, I think it took us 2 weeks just to get him to access the platform, just because of stupid little things that didn't work out the way we thought it would in the way that we tested it. So we've got a service provider, a contractor company, and then a registered person. Guys, you have to create the company and the registered person when you start. So the registration form makes provision for the company as well as the registered person, because according to the regulation, the company as well as the registered person is supposed to be registered with the Department of Labor. So you can't have a registered person that's not linked to a company. What I have seen a lot of guys are doing is they have a sole proprietor where the person registers himself as the business with the Department of Labor. That is absolutely genius, and it saves a lot of time. So as an individual, you can register yourself as the company, and then on this platform you use your name. You use your name as the company name, and you would just register yourself as the sole proprietor linked to the registered person. Okay, next slide. So the online CoC works exactly the same way that the construction industry works or that the electrical sector works. Sorry, guys. So when When I get into my bakkie and I drive to go and see a customer, I am theoretically going to a site. When I get to the site, there are certain things that I'm going to be doing at the site, and that's the work that I do at the site is the project. So let's take an example. There's a customer, they want to have a CoC for their site, for their house. So project number 2, for example, would just be a certificate of compliance. So I will, within the online platform, I'll create a site. The site will be the address. That address is going to be used in your CoC. The platform will pull that information and print it to the CoC. So you've got your site with the information, and then you've got your project. The project would be installing a solar system, fixing a pool pump, fitting a plug, reissuing a CoC. If we use project number 2, for example, it would be a small house with 1 DB board. So we will have a project, 1 CoC and 1 test report. If it's a bigger property, we could have 1 CoC and we could have multiple test reports. So we could have a test report per DB board, and you would just link your test report to that project, and you would link your CoC to that project, and then the program would just put everything together. I'm saying that with a lot of confidence. Because that is how it works, but the complexity is insane. So registered persons can add or edit testers. I know Selwyn had a comment about that. There was an issue with the way that it pulled through testers. So guys, we had to redesign the test report, and when we redesigned the test report and what the output was, we missed a couple of links. So where the platform isn't syncing, not pulling information through or not printing it, it's because we've had to change the way the test report is created. Before, we took a copy of the test report and we had a backdrop of the test report as a PDF, and it just kind of printed all the stuff on the front of the test report. But we've had to completely program the test report, and that caused a couple of issues. Export test report detail. So you can we'll have a look at the detail that I'm referring to now. So you can print your test report in PDF, or you can export it to Microsoft Excel. But it only exports the detail to Microsoft Excel. I'll show you guys how that works. Print test report and CoC to PDF. Yeah, that's fine. CoCs can't be edited. It is populated with the site and the registered person info. So theoretically, you don't have access to change anything on the CoC itself. Guys, we have a function where you can. I have had 1 or 2 electrical contractors who told me that the lawyers or the legal department for the guys that are doing the house transfer wants to see a yellow document. So we have created a yellow CoC that you can email. So we can put the CoC on a yellow template if you wanted to email it to someone. At the moment, what you can't do is you can't attach your signature to the CoC, and the reason for it is as soon as we start importing and attaching signatures, you have to kind of make provision for that data, and that data has to live somewhere. And if that data has to live somewhere, then there has to be a subscription fee. So at the moment, we don't have subscription fees. I think as soon as we've sorted out all the small little bugs, we will be able to create the signature section. So what you'd have to do at the moment is you can complete the test report and the CoC, and then you can download it or print it to PDF, which is to your laptop, and then you can add the signature in your PDF program if it has the ability to do that. Okay, so what do we have? CoCs can't be edited. It is linked to test reports in the registered person dashboard. Okay, guys, we have a couple of dashboards in this platform. I think that was the last slide. So we have a couple of dashboards there. We have a service provider dashboard, we have a contractor or a company dashboard, and we have a registered person dashboard. The registered person dashboard is where all the magic happens. You are going to be spending most of your time in the registered person dashboard, and what I've done is I've created a helper in the registered person dashboard that will guide you through the process and through the program as you move through the eCOC. So let's just quickly go to the online platform, and then we can have a look and see how that works. Where shall we start? Okay, so I'm on the account sign-in page. The registration page is available on a link that we can send you. There is a registration page there. So I'm just going to sign in over here. This is the address that I've been using for most of the testing. So what we've got over here is yeah.
I think you're on a different screen. We've still got your presentation.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's try that. I think you should be able to see that there.
That's better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for mentioning that. I was completely oblivious. Okay, guys, so once you've logged in, you'll get this green box over here. For those of you that have registered, what we've been doing is we have been approving one contractor and one registered person at a time, and then we would assign a CoC and a test report to. So we assign a CoC to the registered person, we assign a CoC to the company, we assign a test report to the registered person, we assign a test report to the company, and we've been doing that incrementally. And every time I've done that, there have been some bugs or issues that I've had to sort out where I thought, no, let's make this faster, let's smooth this process. So I'm working through the registration slowly because I'm trying to pace myself. I don't just want to allow everybody in and then we have 100 inquiries on why things are or are not working in a certain way. So once you've logged in, if you've been approved and you've logged in, you will get a green bar like this with a go-to dashboard. It will tell you there what you are, what your user type is, and the user type over there is going to determine where you are taken in the dashboard. So let's just have a look and see where this is going to take me. So there are a couple of things that are important over here. One is your URL. So that bar or that address at the top of the screen, So it says eCOC.online. It says /AREP. That is the service provider. If I change the AREP to PQRS, it's going to change the logo because PQRS is also a service provider. So you'll end up on the same dashboard, but you'll end up with a different logo. What we've got over here is, so there's just something I should mention over here. If you have errors on your site, it could be that the AREP part is not in there. If the AREP part is not in there, it can't recognize who you are and it doesn't recognize the page. So you've got to make sure that you have the AREP URL in, or the AREP, they call it a slug. I don't know why they call it a slug. That's what it's called. So you've got to make sure that it's got the AREP slug in the bar. At the moment, we are in the registered person's dashboard. We can say yes. If we say yes, it's going to take us through the process. It's going to show us how the process works. If we say no thanks and we refresh the screen, it should repopulate the message again. So as long as you are still trying to find your way around the platform, leave the helper in there. The helper will guide you. So congratulations, you are logged in. Can I give you some guidance on what to do next? If we say yes, sure, it'll say click on personal information and testers sections. It highlights that so we can click on it. So now it says, do you see at least one available test report and one available CoC here? Yes or no? So I have 9 available test reports and I've used up all my CoCs. You guys will see two total certificates, 1 CoC available and 1 test report. When you sign up first, that is what you are given. So for that, I'm just going to say yes. Then it says, great, let's start by creating a site. Click on sites and projects. So we click on sites and projects, and then it says, click add new site. The add new site has been highlighted. So the helper really takes you through the process step by step. I'm not going to make use of the helper now because there are certain things that I want to show you guys specifically. So on the registered person dashboard, you have 4 accordion elements. Accordion element is just something that opens up and closes. The same elements there are up there. So if you click sites and projects, it'll open up sites and projects. It only opens one at a time to make it a bit more convenient. So you have your personal information and testers, sites and projects, test reports, and CoC certificates. If we click on personal information, there are a couple of things that we can look at over here. One is it's got all your information at the top. It says who you are, when you started, what your email address is, what you are registered as, and it gives you the ability to go to the test report form, switch to company dashboard, log out, or refresh the session. I want to jump to the company dashboard to show you guys what the company dashboard looks like, but let's just finish the registered person dashboard first. In the registered person dashboard, you will add your testers. I know someone sent me an email yesterday, and maybe so yesterday there was an issue with these testers not pulling through into the test report form. I think that has been sorted out. I sorted it out yesterday. The levels, they call it dependencies. So dependency is when you have one link that relies on another link that relies on another link. The level of dependencies in this program is insane. And I think if I had known before I started with it how insanely complex it is, I would have probably, I don't know, started a stamp collection or something else. I would have. There are many hours that have gone into this project. Okay, so you've got your testers. I'm going to close that up. Then you've got sites and projects. So like any construction project, you have a site. So you would be able to add a new site, and then as soon as you are in the site, if you click there, it'll open the site at the bottom. There we are in the site workspace, and now you can add a project. So I've already added a couple of projects over here. As soon as you've added a project, so you can open the project, and as soon as you've opened the project, you can link CoCs, CoC certificates linked to this project, test reports linked to this project. So as soon as you link wait, let's just go back to this main dashboard. In this dashboard, you have to have test reports available and CoCs available in order for you to use a test report. So when we go back to that site, sites and projects, I want to view the site, and then I want to open the project. In this page, we should be able to, let's just see, link test report. If we link a test report, we click on link test report, it opens up a drop down with all the test reports that we have available, and we can select a test report. We can link the test report, and then as soon as it's linked the test report, the linked test report will appear in the link test report section. So there we go. We've now linked test report 104 with this project. So we could, once we click open or view, if we click open, it's going to open a new page where we can see the test report. But before I do that, I've shown you guys what this page looks like. Our test reports will appear there, and our CoCs, all our CoCs are over there. No certificates assigned yet. When you have one user, so you register the platform, or you register as a user on the platform, and you are the only admin for the company, then you are automatically given company rights. So you can switch to the company dashboard. The company dashboard looks exactly the same. The only difference is, so we've got all this, the CoCs and the test reports available. Over here we see there are 35 certificates, 7 CoCs available, but none of them are linked. So this is interesting because we've got 7 CoCs available in the company, but the registered person has no CoCs. So if you, I'm wondering whether I am sharing. Let's just see. If you look at this, I don't think you guys can see that. So you have different dependencies. Let's just see, share. Just a second. I want to see whether I can go back to that presentation. Wow. Too many pages open. If you just find the PowerPoint. Wow. Explanatory notes. That's not it. Oh my word. Guys, I'm just going to share the desktop with you. Then we can get there faster. So you should be able to see the PowerPoint. So what I've just done is I've shown you the registered person dashboard. We are now looking at the company dashboard. So the company can allocate CoCs to the registered person. So if we go back, I think that would have been that one. If we go back to this platform and we switch to the company dashboard, it should be loading the inventory. So it shows us which certificates are available to allocate. I see this was done under service provider PQRS. So let's see. I'm in the wrong user. Let's just see if we can allocate it. I'm going to allocate it to the registered person. I'm just selecting one, allocate. So we are allocating it. It should give us a green banner at the top over there, which says successfully allocated. So now if we go back to the registered person dashboard, once this has updated, it should show CoCs available 1. It should, unless it's not going to allocate it because I'm in the wrong client. I'm not supposed to be doing this. No, thanks. Wow. Okay. Is that working? Is that not working? Just a second. Okay. So it's not going to allow it because I've used a guy that was registered under a different service provider to kind of try and allocate stuff in the wrong service provider. So at least that function is, I'd like to say it's working. I know it didn't work, but it's working because it's not allowing the transfer of CoCs and test reports between different service providers. So in the company dashboard, you've got your statistics available. You've got your CoCs available. You've got your test reports that are available. You've got pending approvals. So if you're a company that have multiple registered persons within your company, they would register on the platform and you as a company would approve your registered persons. And then the registered persons over here would appear, the registered persons within the company would appear on the registered persons tab. So in this registered persons tab, as a company admin, you can go and have a look and see what your guys were up to. So you can click on Sammy's a profile, and you can see which testers Sammy has. There are certain benefits in doing it this way. So maybe you've got two guys working on two different sites that are not too far apart, and the one guy's tester just broke. So you can quickly have a look and see which of your other registered persons have testers that might be able to help that guy out, or would be able to assist him in one way or the other. As company admin, you can edit the equipment over here. So you would be able to, if you buy your guys a new tester or new equipment, or maybe they were on site and they've got something that they needed to add, you'd be able to add it as an admin. You can see their project, so you can see all of the information that they can see. So you can stay on top of whatever it is they are doing on site. You can see if they've allocated test reports. You can have a look at the sites they've generated and that kind of thing. Okay, what else do we need to cover? Maybe we should look at the test report itself. So over here, I'm in the test report. Let me just refresh this page. So how do we get to this test report? A couple of things that are interesting over here. It takes the system a while to go and fetch the information and to populate it. Once you have saved the test report, it saves all the information to a database. As soon as you open this test report again, it has to go and fetch all that data, and it repopulates your test report with that data. So the test report looks exactly the same as the other dashboards. You've got the accordion elements, and they all open up. They open and close depending on what it is you want to do. So you can add the information of the installation. You can change the physical address. You've got GPS coordinates. These GPS coordinates would populate if you click GPS location. Guys, if your GPS location function doesn't work, it's a permission thing. So it could be that either Chrome or Firefox is not allowing your system there. I've clicked on GPS location. The first thing it asks is allow eCOC.online to access your location. So it's a permission thing. If the location or the GPS function doesn't work, it's an authority and permission-driven issue on your browser. So if I click OK, it populates my GPS latitude and longitude. You can add that manually. So over here, you can add it if you were to go to a site, for example. So if you wanted to go to Google Maps, and let's just use that site as an example. At the top in our browser, there are GPS coordinates there. So you can copy and paste the GPS coordinates from that site, from Google Maps. You can go back to your test report and you can paste it in there. Add a room. So all your projects are listed over here. When you load the site, it pulls all your projects that you've created in the registered person dashboard. It pulls into this test report, so you can have a look at the project, and you can add the project, and that is going to change the address over there because it pulls the information from the project itself. I would initially, if you guys are busy on this, I would try and save it. I would work through the test report incrementally. I think initially it's going to be important for you to just keep a paper copy of whatever it is. And then when you're at home in the evenings, you can populate this. If you have any issues with stuff not saving, you're going to have to send me a WhatsApp and I'll sort it out for you. So that's location. The information we have over here, and it's just, I just want to save this quickly. Once it's saved, it will populate a banner at the bottom that says it has saved it successfully. Then we can, I just want to complete the, no, man, I don't want to complete the test. No, please fix the errors in the form. Yes, thank you. So there are errors in the form because it hasn't been completed properly. So the test report itself, has different sections. It has a location section. It has about the installation. So these sections, section 2 over here aligns with section 2 over here. So the different parts that we've got on the screen aligns with what is in the test report itself. I want to just close this thing quickly. So select type UPS. There's a section 2. So we don't have a hybrid test report in the way that we have the hybrid test report that you guys download. What we've got over here is we've got about the installation, and then as soon as in the about the installation section, if you go through to alternative power type, if you select solar, PV, and battery powered inverter, it opens up section 2A. Look at that section over there. The minute I change this, if I just have a diesel genset, it closes section 2A because section 2A is where the hybrid test report is populated. So as soon as I say, listen, I've got a solar system, it generates section 2A, or it makes it visible. As soon as section 2A is visible, you can now start populating section 2A. So your solar stuff is all inside section 2A. I don't think I want to do section 2A just yet. There are a couple of things I want to have a look at. Guys, it's 10 to 9. I see there is a question. Christy says he'll be watching the recording. Okay, cool. So we've got the about the installation. Everything that's in this section is the way it appears in the test report. So it should be fairly straightforward to complete. So number 3, section 3 is number of circuits or points. If you look at the test report, the number of circuits or points is this section over here where it talks about the number of circuits or points. So if you don't have lighting points, for example, in the test report form, you don't tick lighting points. If you have lighting points, then you can click it. If you don't have lighting points and you only have socket outlets, you can tick socket outlets, and then it will populate the test report just on the socket outlet section. What I've got over here is in the socket outlets, for example, it's got for new socket outlets and it's got for existing socket outlets. So if you have 2 new and 2 existing, and you click capture detailed socket outlet measurements, it'll open up 4 fields, because there you said you had 2 and there you said you had 2, so it opens up 4 fields. If we change this one to 3, it now gives you 5 fields. So now you can be more specific. In which room is it? What's the socket number? Fed from which circuit breaker? Is it new or existing? Does it have metal parts? If you say no, it doesn't require you to complete the bonding test. If you say yes, it's got a metal cover, it now insists on a bonding value. Polarity passed. Did it pass the polarity, yes or no? This information contained in this detail section can be exported to Excel. It is not printed. So because it's not printed, you have the option of exporting it. Is there photographic evidence? At this point, it's a yes or no. We don't upload photos because we would need to have a data point. So we'll have photo upload functionality soon. Installation compliance and checks. So these are this is where your testers are pulled in. So that should populate the tester there. It's populated the testers from the registered person's dashboard. So now you can say, I used this tester in this installation and it was 12 volts or whatever. You can add is the neutral loop impedance test applicable for this installation? Yes. Then it opens up a field. Neutral loop impedance test was conducted at the main switch. The reading was, which tester did you use? Loop load tester. So you can add the values and select the testers as you go along. It is fairly complex. You guys are going to have to play around with this. The registered person details is pulled through from the registration form. So when was the test done? That is not pulled through from the registration form. That we enter, and then once we are done, we can save the test report. As soon as you start completing the solar section, and guys, we are almost an hour into the meeting, as I think we need to have an additional meeting for the solar section, but I'm going to, you can export the solar section in batches as you move through them. So let's just have a look at the section where they talk about solar. I think we can look at solar quickly because most of you guys would be interested in the solar section. So it starts off with a type of installation. If you say this is hybrid inverter as backup supply, it only opens batteries, inverters, and other hardware. Because over here you said it's a backup supply, so it doesn't have solar, it doesn't give you the option to add solar information. If you say it's an SSEG system with no storage, it only opens inverters, solar, and other hardware. If you say it's a hybrid inverter with solar PV, it gives you batteries, inverters, and solar. Under the battery section, you kind of have to select the battery technology type. So is it lead acid, lithium, redox flow, or other? So it's lithium. Are all batteries the same type, brand, and size? Now, what do we see on site? We get to a site, if it's a residential installation, what do we have nowadays? We have an inverter with a SunSync battery, and the customer wants to replace add another battery. So you've got one SunSync and one Innovance battery as a brand. So are all batteries the same type, brand, and size? No, they're not. How many different types are there? 2 different types. Select battery type 1. So it's a single type, so it's a loose battery. Is it wall mounted? Is it floor standing? Is it stacked? Is it mounted on a rack? Is it installed in a server, or is it containerized? My goodness, guys, the options are insane. So the one is wall mounted. Number of units, there's only one. But we want to capture detailed information. So it opens up another box where we add the brand. This is a SunSync. It's a 5 kilowatt hour. It's low voltage. Model number is Sun 5, for lack of a better one. Serial number is 12345 SunSync. And then we go to battery type number 2, single type, wall mounted, 1 unit. Capture details. So over here, we'll put in the name of the other battery. Innovance. Also 5. Low voltage, model number, 5, serial number 12345E. So we've captured the battery. Now the next would be to capture the inverter. How many groups of inverters? If you look at an industrial site where you look at 50 kilowatt SunSync inverters, each inverter has its own battery. So how many groups of inverters? Well, we have one inverter with its own battery, a second inverter with its own battery, and a third inverter with its own battery. So we can select 3 groups of inverters. And then we can select individual inverters not in a group. So it really tries to capture what you've got on site. Then it looks at solar, it looks at gateways. We are just about as far as we can go in terms of time. So I'm going to save the report. We've populated the battery section. So I should be able to click on battery section and print selected PDF. And then it should print my PDF on what I've got installed on site. And it gives me feedback or an account of what has been installed. So what it does not do is it does not create a report that looks like the hybrid test report. We can, and we probably will, create a document like that, because everybody is going to want to have something that has been formally generated or formally created. Let's just see. Stop sharing. Are there any questions? I've spoken a lot. I haven't seen any questions in the chat box. Guys, is there anybody that want to know anything? Rolf, will these test reports able to be completed offline, or would you need an active internet connection? Is there a section to add additional notes? So, Rolf, I think there in every single section, there is the possibility to add notes. At the moment, it doesn't have notes, so I will add a section that has notes. Do you want to have notes at a specific point? Do you want to have a note for the entire test report? Shall we add notes? I think we've got notes in the CoC. There's a place for notes. Shall we make the section for notes in the CoC, or would you like to have the ability to make notes under each section? That would be interesting. We might be able to export that, because whatever we do, we would have to be able to print that. So when we print it, we would print it with a CoC number and the test report numbers that are linked. So I will add a section for notes. It doesn't have notes at the moment. Martin says, will the test reports and the CoCs be bought separately? Yes. Yes. So if you have a site with where you need 10 test reports and you need one CoC, you'd be able to buy 10 test reports and one CoC. We'll probably, AREP will probably have them in batches. So you can buy a batch of 20 test reports and 20 CoCs. And then if your test reports are depleted, you'd be able to just touch up the test reports. Guys, what you can also do is you'd be able to buy the test reports, and then you'd be able to print them as a blank test report. So you'd be able to print them as a blank test report, and it would have the number on it. So you'd be able to either complete them manually, or you'd be able to complete them online. Martin wants to know, will the test reports and CoCs be... Oh, no. There was a question. There was a question around internet. Who had the question around the internet? Or what will the structure be like? Who had the question on the internet? Prudence says something about signal. Did I miss a question somewhere?
Hi, Carel.
There we go. Roof. There you
it
go.
was my question.
Will you be able to complete them offline? So, Roof, the test reports do save automatically. When I say that, I'm kind of, do they save? Of course they save automatically. The platform has been created with the intention of saving data offline. That was the intention. I know that it does save data offline, because I know that it does save data. But I would not necessarily trust the feature until you've got an app that you can download to your phone. The intention will be to download it, to make it a downloadable app. So you'd have an app on your phone that you can take out to site. When that is done, there will be dedicated storage on your phone specifically for that function. The platform was created to save offline. I have not tested it offline. So can you do it offline? Yeah, no. It has not been tested offline, so you can let me know whether it's possible. What is weird is it was created. I'll tell you where I think the issue will be. Is it was created as a platform that will save. Where I see an issue is this over here. So what happened was the page load speed became insanely slow, because of the volume of data it had to upload before it could open the page. So we had to change the way in which the pages load. So now, if I open up, let's just go. If I open up this section over here, if I click on information, you'll see over here, test reports 0, it actually loads, even if I do this. So if I go there and I refresh, there it's loading. Now watch what happens when we, so there it's loaded the information. So now if I go through to installation compliance and I click on local switch and my testers, see the testers are marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only then it populates. It's because in that split second, it goes to fetch as soon as that window is opened, it fetches the testers. So the system was originally designed to handle off-grid environments, but I think due to the volume of data that has to be loaded, I actually don't think it's going to work. It'll work once it's an app, but it's not an app yet. At the moment, it's just it's on a web page. So to answer your question, I would like to retract my previous statement and say, no, it's not going to work off-grid. You might have to print it and take down the values manually. Okay, so Rolf, I think I answered that. Martin, yes, separately. Joss can. So the bulk of the work goes into the test report. The CoC is actually, has no work because it pulls in all the information automatically. So the test reports are going to be expensive and the CoCs are going to be cheap. And when I say expensive and cheap, your CoC is going to be probably less than a quarter of the price of a test report. But it should save you time. That's the intention. I know fax machines were supposed to save us time, and laptops and smartphones, they were all supposed to save us time. If it really worked, we would have had more time, but we don't. So it's going to save you time in the same way. Prudence says, how else can we watch the audio? Because I'm assuming Prudence signal wasn't so strong during the meeting. Prudence, I'm going to get Marisha to circulate the recording. So I see Anne has already mentioned that. Thanks, Anne. Roof then says a downloadable app to use offline will be very cool. It will absolutely be available as soon as we've sorted out all the bugs and the glitches, and we've added Martin's notes, or we've added Rolf's notes to the CoC. So once we've kind of added a bit of additional functionality, there are a few things that I'd like to change to make it better. Martin says another thing, if a client already has an initial CoC, will the option be available to only do a test report with the initial CoC number on the test report? Martin, if you have a site like that, I would make a point of making that available. At the moment, I don't think it has that functionality. Definitely does not have that functionality. I see Trevor says not legally. The EIR says a CoC shall be given for any electrical work done. Oh, I understand. Client already has an initial CoC. Oh, I hear what you're saying. So you would be able to add the initial CoC number, if that's what you mean, because if you add a supplemental CoC, it has to have an initial CoC number. Yes. At the moment, I don't have that in, but I will make provision for a field for the initial CoC number. I will add that. That is going to be pretty straightforward. Guys, it's 10:10. Thank you very much for everybody logging in. We do have quite a number of you guys that have registered that have not been approved yet or not been verified. The reason for that is that I'm still busy working through the glitches. For those of you that have registered, I'm probably going to add all of you to a WhatsApp group. The reason I'm going to add the WhatsApp group is I occasionally, so this platform is on a WordPress, is built in a WordPress plugin. And as soon as you update the plugin, there's a break between the period where the old plugin is deleted and the new plugin is activated. And if you guys are busy, if I'm busy working on someone else's platform and all of a sudden they just delete the plugin, wow, that will infuriate me. So I need to create a mechanism where we can communicate with the guys using the system to say, listen, in fairly short notice, at 11 o'clock, from 11 to 11:30, we're going to make major updates. Don't use the system in that period. So that'll give us an opportunity to delete the plugin, activate the new plugin, test to make sure that it's working, and then the guys can carry on. That I think is important, especially in the evenings and over weekends when electricians are at home and they have the ability to do some admin. What I did add is I do have a logging function that keeps a log of when guys log in and when guys log out. So I could theoretically see if someone is busy on the platform when I do certain changes or when we make updates or make certain changes. But it would be good to be able to communicate with guys and let them know, listen, we're doing this update, we've done this update, we've done this update. So if you have registered, we are more than likely going to be adding you to a WhatsApp group. If you don't like it, you're welcome to just leave the group. Guys, it's 10:15. I think that brings us to the end of this session. This recording is going to be available to watch afterwards. If there are certain things that you have questions about, you're welcome to send me a WhatsApp. Would be nice if you don't send an email, although the emails are sometimes the emails that I've been receiving on this platform are fairly extensive and they've got a list of everything that has a twitch on it. Either way, if I don't respond to your email, just send me a WhatsApp and say, listen, I sent you an email, I have a look at it. Guys, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much for the discussion. Thanks for logging in and the questions. And I hope you find the platform useful when you start using it. So far, we've got just over 40 guys that have been verified, 40 companies that have been verified, and we've got another 15 that we have to verify. So that'll take it up to 55 or 56. We are thinking that we'll probably have about 100 companies by the end of the month, or the first week in Feb. This has not been promoted outside of AREP so far, and it's going out to a fairly large database soon. So we should have upwards of 100 guys using the system probably by the middle of February. Thank you very much. Yeah, good luck out there. It's going to be a crazy year. I think there's going to be lots of business. You guys have to position yourselves, expand your network, make sure, let estate agents know who you are. Even if you don't like doing CoCs on homes that are being transferred, You have to build your network. We are going to see an influx of uneducated guys coming into our sector. So build your network so that you have a diversified portfolio of customers and people that you can do work for. And so that there are more guys who know who the guys are that are registered electricians and registered with the Department of Labor in your area. Phone the guys. This is going to sound like a silly thing, and I know what the social media says. Phone the guys in your area that are doing work and offer to assist them with CoCs. And I know, here we go. So if you are in an area and you accept to assist someone else with his installation, you have the ability to control the standard of installations in your area. So get to know the guys that operate in your area, because you are going to see a massive influx of guys coming into the sector that are not qualified, and you have the potential to assist those guys in setting the standard in the way that you want that standard, you want to see that standard, and you want to maintain that standard. So don't be silly about business. Be aware of what's going on in your area, understand what's going on, know your standards, know your regulations, and just, get the standards sorted in your area without having to complain about it on social media. Just let the social media guys go. Just let it go, man. Anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for logging in. Have a nice day. Cheers.